NXT is coming to town. They're bringing the Great American Bash to the HEB Center at Cedar Park. That will be on Sunday, July 30th. Bell time, 6:30 p.m. Central. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. And they are building towards it. And to help me break it all down, joining me on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline, not only is he the man that leads NXT, he is also a four-time former world champion, the first ever WWE Grand Slam champion, and he has 2 Hall of Fame rings, one as a singles wrestler and one as one of the original members of one of my favorites, the notorious D-Generation X. It is the showstopper, Mr. WrestleMania, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Follow him on Twitter at Shawn Michaels. Shawn, thank you so much for joining me. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Look, just a fantastic introduction there. I mean, well, everybody's got to know it's going to go all downhill after that, because I can't call that an introduction, but I appreciate it a great deal.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you joining me. Let's touch on a couple things before we get to the bash. The Performance Center, WWE Performance Center, 10 years as of yesterday, in fact. And I heard Vic Joseph mention this on the NXT broadcast last night on USA. Every current champion on Raw and SmackDown has gone through NXT and has gone through the Performance Center. Just reflect on the impact that the WWE Performance Center has had, not only on the company, but on the business as a whole in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Well, so look, again, you'd have to, I would say, look, we're 98% of the main roster has got to be people who came through the NXT system. Look, I'll say this. I think ultimately you have to come to the conclusion that it was a success. And look, that I want, yes, Hunter's my best friend, but I'm telling you, as a best friend, I can't stand having to give him too many compliments, but the reality is what he built here is indeed a success. And I think you see that throughout the WWE. And as you said, even on the business as a whole, I mean, there are a lot of people that are on top of other, organizations within the wrestling industry that have all, at least at one time or another came through NXT. And look, it was his brainchild. And look, I couldn't be more proud of him, honestly, of NXT and having the opportunity to have been here now for, I think I'm going on about 5 years, half of that time. But it is. I think it's been fantastic. And I think it is going to continue to feed not just, as you mentioned, the WWE, but, again, the world of wrestling for a long, long time. And because so many people want to come through here. And also, I think the heartbeat of the wrestling business is going to be in the young athletes that come through. I was thinking about it last night. My goodness, she just appeared last night, but she's been on the show before, Kalani Jordan. Mm-hmm. She's been here for 6 months. She's a young lady that has, was so gifted, in college, but she comes here, she transitions into this. And these athletes, they pick it up so quickly. It's amazing. Again, and you think I think sometimes we look at like a Braun Breaker and we go like, okay, he's not quite the same because it was in his blood. He's been around it his whole life. Fair enough. All right. But still 2 years. A Tiffany Stratton, under 2 years, the Creed brothers under 2 years. And they're going to be WWE superstars for a long, long time. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So again, thinking that it now takes someone, maybe 2 years tops before you feel like they're, and all these people that I just mentioned, everybody would argue they're ready for the main roster. And, and I'd be hard pressed to disagree with them. So if you think about that, again, you just think about cranking out so many future WWE superstars. I think the business itself is in phenomenal shape for the future. And for those of us that have been in it and that love watching it. To me, that's exciting, and I think it's in very good hands for the future.
I believe so. I totally agree. Something that I've thought about a lot. So you mentioned Hunter, Triple H. So he's running Raw and SmackDown. You're running NXT. How many times do you get reminded that the two people that are running WWE are the two original members of one of the most notorious factions in wrestling history in D-Generation X? After all the stuff you did as DX, now you're running the company.
Yeah, well, a lot, a lot. I won't get into too many details, but I was just attending a seminar earlier for, senior vice presidents and up. And yeah, and it was a wonderful seminar. But again, to have the jacket on, and I think I'll say this: it on one hand, it gets mentioned a lot, but we have I'll say this, even as degenerates back in the day, we had such a love and a passion for this stuff. Granted, yeah, sometimes when it was unleashed, it could be a bit wild and arguably, I don't know, controversial. But at the same time, it really was. It was a deep-seated love and admiration for this business and a passion for it, and that's what it is now. We are now, thankfully, a lot more mature and grown up quite a bit. But I think there's still that little kid in us that I know that a lot of our athletes, a lot of our superstars all appreciate, because we make it fun, and we want it to be fun, especially here in NXT. Granted, when you get to the main roster, it is serious business, as it should be. And it is here too, but at the same time, I want this to be a fun experience. It's kind of like college. I think a lot of people look back on their college experience as the best time of their life. That's what we want it here to be in NXT. We want them to learn what they're doing, but we also want them to fall in love with this and have fun with this job like we did. And I think that's what's going to make this business of the WWE so healthy for the future. These are some unbelievably fine and talented young men and women that come through NXT that are being recruited from various universities and other organizations throughout the world. They're trying to pick the best of the best. And I think that is just great news, not just for the WWE, but for the wrestling business as a whole, as far as the future stands.
Absolutely. And you guys do such a fantastic job. It's a pleasure to watch it on Tuesday nights on USA Network and see these young men and women that just pouring their hearts and souls into what you guys are teaching the coaches and everything there at the Performance Center. It's really cool to watch. One of the things that obviously over the last few weeks, we've seen a lot of main roster stars come through NXT. Last night had the Judgment Day there. I got to imagine that's not only does it enhance the on-screen product, but the men and women that are in the Performance Center that are learning, now they get a chance to, even if they get a few seeds of wisdom from those main roster stars on a somewhat regular basis.
Sure. Yeah, well, exactly. I'll say this: all of us in this business, we all got better because we were in the ring, especially when we first started out, with people that were better than us. Now, we're very fortunate to have other men and women that have come from NXT UK and some that have been out there on the independent scene that have been doing it for a little longer, that also obviously help our young athletes that come through here from college. But at the same time, those people, when a main roster person comes down, that's now seeds of knowledge for them as well. So exactly, and look, it's great to be out there getting reps, but a lot of times if you're out there with somebody who's needs as many reps as you do, you're still learning, but you're not going to learn at the rate as you are if you're out there with a Finn Balor, for instance. Right. And so look, that's been huge for us. Again, you think about Braun Breaker being out there with Seth Rollins. I mean, that is, you can't, again, for me, it was like when I was out there very early on out there with Flair. You take in so much. It's like getting a PhD in one night. So again, it's a huge help for us here in NXT to have that synergy now with the main roster. Again, we would love to be able to have it more often, but obviously we have it here and there. They're also busy. We understand that, but the great thing is they're so giving when they come down here, not just in the ring, but also just hanging out with the talent. And like you said, dropping seeds of knowledge, whether it's out there physically or back here just psychologically, and mentally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's get to the Great American Bash. By the way, if you can't be in Cedar Park at the HEB Center, make sure you tune in to Peacock, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on Sunday, July 30th. We've got 2 matches so far. Wes Lee is going to defend the North American Championship against Mustafa Ali. That's an interesting match, and we've seen kind of some. I don't even know how to characterize it, but just some interesting interactions between Wes Lee and Mustafa Ali. But you know as well as everybody that is going to be an absolute barn burner.
Yeah, well, again, that's the thing. One of the things I'm so happy with. One, I guess Wes Lee to me has just been unbelievable as North American champion. I on a personal level just enjoy that young man so much. But everything that he's kind of overcome here in NXT over the last year and a half has just been phenomenal. He's been a great champion for us. But when we had the opportunity to get Mustafa Ali, it was just, I've always been a big fan of his, and it's something that from a very quiet standpoint, I would see him here and there on the main roster, and every once in a while I would just reach out and ask, like, gosh, if he's not doing anything, if you guys aren't doing something with him, I'd love to have him down here. It never quite worked out for us until just as of late. And I'm telling you what, he's a guy that in my opinion, we've just seen the tip of the iceberg with him. And we plan on just, cutting him loose and unleashing him here in NXT to really, work and live out his potential here on the NXT brand as we go into the future. As you said, that's going to be a phenomenal match. I do have to say, my one question is, obviously Wes Lee is somebody that's going to defend that championship anytime he can. When he agreed to do that last night against Dirty Dom, I'm curious as to what kind of impact that may have on our idea that we're having a North American Championship match at Great American Bash. But we'll find out next week. And obviously, last night it was determined that Ilya Dragunov will be contending for the NXT Championship from Carmelo Hayes, which is going to be also just an unbelievable matchup between those two.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you about them. Ilya Dragunov has quickly become one of my favorite superstars on NXT. Never mind the fact that I was a Russian linguist in the Army, so I love having the Mad Russian there, but just seeing him, he is such a spitfire. He's so tenacious. He talks about he's the most intense individual in NXT, and boy, I'm not going to argue with him. But at the same time, Carmelo Hayes has been on such a roll as NXT champion. I know you're looking forward to this absolute titanic battle coming up on July 30th.
Absolutely. Well, again, Carmelo, unbelievably talented. So to me, what's interesting about this is sort of the clash of techniques. You know what I mean? Carmelo, very flashy. And again, Ilya, the same thing, but much more of, he's more of a traditional, really scrapping kind of, he gets ugly, he gets intense. It's going to be very physical from his standpoint. I'm curious to see how durable Carmelo Hayes can be in this matchup, because again, Ilya is someone who does not shy away from physicality. And I've seen him get just battered by men twice his size. I find it hard to believe that Carmelo Hayes is going to be able to batter him more than what I've seen him go through before. And he doesn't give up then. He doesn't quit then. So I think this one is going to be a war of attrition in a way that I think we've never seen before. We've seen it out of Ilya, but I don't think we've seen that out of Carmelo Hayes. And this one, that's what makes this one so interesting to me, is, can Carmelo Hayes hold up against the physicality of Ilya Dragunov, and walk out with that NXT championship?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's going to be a great event. Before I let you go, I want to ask a favor. If I can get a reader for my show, would you mind doing that for me, please?
Yeah, you bet. You tell me what to say, and I think
All
I
right.
can follow.
I want you to do it as you see it. The name of the show is Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. You do it however you say, however you feel like you listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. Whenever
Sports guy or guys, plural?
Sports Guys, plural.
Okay.
Talking Wrestling.
Hello, boys and girls. This is WWE Hall of Famer, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and you are listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
One take. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. It is the NXT Great American Bash coming up Sunday, July 30th, here at the HEB Center in Cedar Park. Bell time, 6:30 p.m. Central. Tickets available via Ticketmaster.com. If you can't be at the HEB Center, make sure you tune in to Peacock, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, to watch all the festivities. He is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Follow him on Twitter at Shawn Michaels. Shawn, thank you so much for your time. I know you got a bunch of media to do today, but I appreciate it. All the best to you. All the best to everybody at NXT. We'll see you in a couple weeks down here in the ATX.
Thank you, Stu. And thanks so much for helping us out, man. We appreciate it. And seriously, I hope you have an opportunity to come on by. We'd love to see you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Shawn.
You betcha.